So I overslept rather stupidly. I had a lot of trouble with uploading and trying to piece together the previous vlog. So that meant I didn't go to bed till something like 6 in the morning. And I basically slept right through. It was, I think, going on 11 PM when I did wake up. I faffed about with my phone a little bit. I mean, I usually have like a few messages and things and bits that I check out. And I then thought to myself, well, if I'm gonna get up at a reasonable hour and you know, be up during the day instead of during the night, which is usually what happens, I figured I would go back to sleep for a bit. Yeah, it didn't want to have it. It got to like gone 3:30 in the morning, which you will have seen at the beginning of the video. And yeah, I still hadn't fallen asleep. So yeah, hair's a mess because I haven't bothered to brush it. Yeah, I've got a buttload of stuff that needs doing, and it's just whether or not I've got the energy. Well, I say it's whether or not I've got the energy. I mean, I should have the energy because obviously I slept a lot, but yeah, it's whether I can be bothered, which I really should. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not like I can just click my fingers and boom, it's all done. Man, wouldn't that be wonderful if we could do things like that? Especially when it comes to, you know, chores. Ugh, I hate doing them. Absolutely hate doing them. I bought these leggings from my local QD store, which is, it does like a lot of sort of low-cost, cheap stuff. They were really, really cheap, but they looked really pretty, and you know, they felt really sort of super soft. It's kind of like a velvet sort of material. But yeah, I've now realised that these things, they honestly, they let all the cold air in. They really do. I stepped outside the flat and it's like, oh my god, my legs were instantly frozen. So, and they don't really work very well for people that have thunder thighs, like I do, because obviously it rubs on itself and it's quite restrictive. It sort of tries to bunch up on itself, so it's not very good. Also, because of the fact that I'm so tall, I have, you know, abnormally long legs, they do kind of look as though they're having a row with my ankles. But, you know, I mean, maybe they're alright just for, you know, chilling out indoors, you know, when you don't really need to do a whole ton of walking, you know. I mean, I suppose in some respect they could be used as a pyjama bottoms, I guess. Not that I would ever wear pyjama bottoms like that. I'd overheat if I did that. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty, but yeah, I won't be buying any more. Kind of following on from the previous vlog, and I did mention in that vlog that I have a tendency to wander off, and I said that would be a story for another time. Basically, when I was a kid, you used to have to kind of really keep your eyes on me, because I would, you know, when everybody else would stop, I would tend to carry on going, or I would turn a corner or something like that. One particular event that proved to bring me to tears, myself, my stepsister, her son and her husband, we had gone into central London, and we were visiting the HMS Belfast, which used to be moored up near Tower Bridge. It's not there anymore. I don't know what they've done with it, but yeah, it used to be a floating museum. It was basically like, I don't know, would you call it like a military ship or whatever? It had big ass guns on it, I'll tell you that much. I mean, it wasn't as big as like a destroyer or anything like that. I mean, it was quite small, considering it could fit up the Thames that far. So, yeah, we'd gone on it. You know, it was like a museum. We'd gone on it, and there's a difference of opinion. You know, my sister says that I wandered off. on my end of things, the way I remember it, is that I stopped to look at something. And it was one of these, I think it was supposed to be the radio room. And obviously they had mannequins in there and stuff, you know, to make it look as though the way it would have been when it was functioning. And yeah, quite literally, I stopped to look at that. I turned around and everybody was gone. And I then spent who knows how long traipsing around this ship trying to find them, getting more and more upset. I found my way to the walkway that takes you back to land. And as I was walking down it, you know, in floods of tears, because I was only a kid, quite literally, they were down there by the ticket office. And, yeah, I got a bit of a rollicking for that one. But yeah, you know, you do have to kind of watch out for me. I mean, even now, I still do it. I still have a tendency to wander off. I mean, I'll go into a shop with someone, and you know, they could like stop to look at something. They could be reading something or anything like that, and literally, I mean, especially with my friend John, we'll go into like HMV, which is one of these ones you get DVDs, music, calendars, all that kind of thing. And he will stop to look at something, and he'll be like avidly having a look, you know, really investigating this one particular section. And the entire time that he's doing that, I'm wandering around the shop, and I will literally, I will go away and come back and go away and come back, because he gets really sort of caught up looking at stuff like that. But yeah, it's something that I suppose isn't such a problem when you're an adult and when you have a mobile phone. But when you don't have a mobile phone and you're just a little kid and you get all turned around and lost and whatnot. Yeah. There is another funny story on another trip out in London. I don't know if it might have been a different day. But we were walking through one particular area, and they had parking meters. And I became very fascinated with a couple of guys sitting across the street who had those kind of straw hats that you normally see sort of the Vietnamese wearing. You know, those ones that look like a kind of an upside down wok shape on their head. I was very fascinated by that, you know, and literally wasn't looking where I was going, and I walked straight into a parking meter, because I was about that right height at that time. So literally it was like the side of my face right against it. Yeah, that was pretty painful. All I got told was, that'll teach you to pay attention where you're walking. Yeah, I was easily distracted. I still am. I'm still easily distracted even now. Okay, some of you already know, others probably won't, but I class myself as kind of like an amateur writer. I do fan fiction. I've got a book up on Amazon, which is a romance novella, and I've also got a poetry book on there. Now, this particular book, I was told by family that you know, because I entered a poetry competition many years ago, and I was told that it was, you know, because I'd made runner-up, they said it was just a scam to get me to buy the book. But I went ahead and did it anyway. I was like, yeah, this thing's got my poem in it. There's no way I'm not buying it. So yeah, I mean, it's quite a thick book, as you can see. It's quite a lot of pages to it, but I happen to have my one earmarked, sort of, with an envelope. There you see, Poetry Guild. There you go. That was the competition that I entered. The top prize was £1,000. I didn't win the £1,000, but I did, as I say, get printed in the book. Now, this particular poem I wrote when I was 13 years old. The sea. It glistens like a sapphire when the sun's rays hit it, yet it flows like silk among rocks and coral. It has the cool essence of freedom, yet it has the rough anger of a charging bull. It has life that no man can create. Sailing along its cool, smooth surface, it fills you with love and compassion. Yet in all this, it is just an adventure. So yeah, that is what I wrote when I was 13 years old, crossing the English Channel on a ferry, going on a school trip. We were supposed to stay in pairs or in groups on the ferry, and unfortunately I didn't have very many friends. The friends that I did have couldn't afford to go on that particular trip, so yeah, I was by myself, and I was just roaming around on the deck. It was, you know, it was a nice sunny day, and quite literally, you know, as you do, you know, things come to you when you're all by yourself and you're thinking, and yeah, and that's what came to me. And I distinctly remember I went and got a little notepad because the first couple of lines came to me. I went and I bought a notepad that was shaped like a VW Beetle, and it was quite sort of psychedelically coloured. I bought that from the gift shop, and then I wrote down my poem, and then I took it to one of the teachers that was on the trip with us. That would be Mrs. Kidman. She was by far one of my favourite teachers, because she was always very, you know, she was always very cheerful, she was always very encouraging, and I got her to read it, and she said it was very good. So, yeah, and I kind of hung on to it, and I was just reading the paper one day, and I think I must have been about, oh gosh, I was about 17 at the time. And, yeah, I was just reading the paper one day, and I happened to spot Poetry Guild competition, send in your poem, for a chance to win £1,000. So I did, and yeah, I got a letter back saying that I'd become a runner-up, which there was an awful lot of. Sorry, the majority of this book is runners-up, the majority of it, and obviously my family. I mean, it cost about £18 to buy the book. And they were like, oh, it's just a scam, it's just a scam. And I'm like, I don't care, I want to buy it anyway. My poem is in it, you know. I was kind of proud of it, even though they technically weren't. They probably don't even remember it, but, you know. But yeah, I am trying, you know. I mean, I've got, like I say, a couple of books on Amazon. Unfortunately, I can't afford to pay for advertising. So it's nigh on impossible to get people to buy your stuff. I know I have a couple of friends that very much understand that, because obviously they're very creative as well, but in different areas, and they have the same problem.